Welcome to my channel. This is my GT350 2016 daily driven, and this is my first attempt at making a YouTube video with it. It's been about a year of ownership, has about 12,000 miles on it, and today's video is going to be all about my personal experience of owning it for past year, and hopefully sharing with you guys the ups and downs that I've had with the vehicle. I'm going to try to break this up into two parts. The first part, hopefully I can explain myself of who I am a little better and how I became a car enthusiast. And obviously the second part, going a little bit in depth of what owning GT350 is all about, and the pros and cons that come along with it. So again, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started, and hope you guys come along for a nice ride. Alright, so well, I don't think anybody wants to hear about me blabbering about myself too much, so I decided to talk about, well, I decided to do the review first and then talk about myself a little bit later. Well, so here it is. It's 2016 GT350 in Avalanche Gray. It was my favorite color on this car. Again, reason why I got it. Been getting a lot of compliments about the color, and I love it. Looks great, doesn't it? Well, so we'll start from the exterior. I'm just gonna talk about everything that I see, everything I've noticed over the year that I've owned this car, good things and bad things that come along with it. So let's talk about the paint first. I don't know if you guys can actually see this, but this paint is extremely soft. If anything hits it, it's not just a clear coat that will go away. It literally digs in all the way down to the base layer of the paint. The whole chunk comes off. I'm not too anal about, you know, these type of things. It's the reason why I didn't, you know, do the protection, the wrap on the front end. Maybe I'll think about it again if I were to do it all over, just because I didn't know the paint on this car was so soft. Well, let's talk about the wheels and tires. Not sure why Ford decided to spend so much money on the R with their carbon fiber wheels that weigh 17-18 pounds per wheel, and pretty much decided to put on a normal GT350 a crazy heavy 32-33 pound alloy wheels. It looks good. You know, I like the color. It hides the brake dust a lot. They probably did it on purpose. But again, the weight of the rims, that's probably the first thing I would like to change. You know, that's a lot of unsprung weight I could save just by getting some decent forged alloy rims that weigh, you know, 21-22 pounds. That will save me at least 10 pounds per corner, and then I'm definitely sure you can feel the difference there. But these tires aren't too bad. I mean, it's good tires. It held up a couple track days and a couple autocross days. Still have plenty of thread left. You can actually see the tire is designed to protect the rims on the side, and if you can actually see that right there, it almost looks like they designed it to make the sidewall a little bit stiffer than it normally is. It's actually almost, it looks like it's stretched out a bit, because the Pilot Super Sports, the sidewalls are known to be soft and flexible. It's not so good, especially given how heavy this car is. But anyways, the party piece here are these rotors and these caliper here. As you can see, this is a two-piece floating rotors. Does not overheat at all. I'm still to see if this is gonna ever overheat or give me problems, but hasn't done it so far. It's probably the best set of a stock braking system I've ever had in any of my car. Especially the car weighing, you know, somewhere around 3,800 pounds. Does the job. 6-piston calipers, no problems. All day long, 104 degrees outside, summer day at Southern California track. You know, doing full stopping from 140, 145 miles per hour all day long, no problems. So let's keep going. Oh yeah, there's something I want to talk about. This little handle here, again, it's one of those keyless entry type of deal. If I grab it, it's supposed to open. See, it did it right there again. See, now it opened. And that will lock it. But for some reason, sometimes when I put my hand on it, it will not open. I have to continue to kind of put my hand on and off to try to make it work. I'm not sure what that's all about. I'm not too worried as long as the car doesn't lock out on me. But again, another little quirk that that I found. Going to the back, 4-piston calipers, same thing, huge rotor that handle the heat, no problems. Continuing on, this is something I'm sure a lot of you have been hearing about. Look at that panel gap. That is outrageous. If you look at this, I mean, you can actually see the tabs that almost look like they aren't even seated in its place. You can see these panel tabs that are just, it's not even seating well. I mean, I've seen cars fixed better at the repair shops that after being rear-ended that look better than this. This is pretty ridiculous. I know if I take it to the dealer, they're supposed to try to fix it under warranty, but as soon you guys will know, I just hate taking my car to dealerships more than anything. So something I'll just deal with. It doesn't bother me too much, but I mean, it continues. If you look at the opening up the trunk here, I mean, look at the bottom end here. You can actually see the paint. It's all scraped away on both sides here and here, mostly because the trunk is probably not lined up well. Every time I close and open the trunk, it's eating away the paint. Just another one of those things. What can you do about it, right? I mean, not the deal breaker, but I'm sure some of you guys will be driven nuts if your car did something like this, and probably take this into dealership 3-4 times just to get it lined perfectly. But I'm not one of them. But yep, that's another thing. Another problem that I've noticed when I wash the car, this seal with the window and the rubber, it does not seal well. If you hit it with pressurized water hose, you can actually start to see water dripping a little bit into inside of the car, if you guys know what I mean. Obviously that's something that you have to deal with. And continuing on with the body panels, I mean, look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that. I mean, that gap between the door panel and the outer edge, you can actually see the exposed metal. On the passenger side, it looks fine, it's not this bad, but driver side, it literally came from the factory like this. I mean, whoever Ford is hiring for QC control, they are either not getting paid enough to do their job, or I don't know. I'm not sure what is going on there, but again, these are the things that you're just gonna have to live with. Unless, again, obviously I'm sure you can fix all these things, but it's the first time I have to deal with stuff like this. I had some expectations buying a domestic car for my first time, but I mean, 2016, you would think a lot of it is fixed and they're doing much better, but obviously not. So a lot of things that I'm not too happy about there. Again, not to the point where, you know, I hate the car or anything, but again, just something. Well, let's talk about a couple things here. The reason why I had to take this car to a dealership twice. The first was everybody knows about it. It's the oil cooler line that had to be replaced because the vibration that this car causes, it tends to pop the hoses off, and if it does that, the hot oil comes out, hits one of those hotter surfaces, and it could catch on fire. And Ford made a huge recall deal out of it, and mine was one of them. And that was first reason why I had to take it in. And second was my coolant thermostat was stuck open in certain position through engine check light. And that was a simple fix, but more to that, it still gives me a little bit of problem sometimes. So let me open up the hood for you guys. And again, there's a track pack, comes with nice Recaro seats. Love these seats. It could come with a little bit more of a lumbar support. Could never have enough of these, but again, the side bolstering, and more than anything, this thigh bolstering is fantastic. It doesn't let your leg or knee rub on these speaker grills, which in some of my other vehicles I've owned, I had that problem, and my knee would turn all red with rashes and things like that. But again, no problems here. But let's open up the hood. So when I took, and this hood is, I believe it's steel, it's extremely heavy. It's kind of crazy where they spend all this money making this front end carbon composite and then uses no aluminum on this front end. I'm sure they use some, I'm not sure exactly, but Ford chipped out on obvious parts that these days and age a lot of them are aluminum, but well, most of these suspension parts and chassis is pretty much steel, I believe. That's why it weighs so much. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I believe. When you take it in for certain procedures and services, some of the technicians do not know what to do. they've never done it, or it's their second time, first time doing it. Obviously they don't bother to read through the manual or video that Ford does put out. You know, I guess they're too lazy about it. And when I had to get the oil cooler line replaced, they literally had to take off this entire front splitter assembly. And when you do that, you have to know exactly how to do it. It's not that hard, but you have to make sure you punch it in with a rubber mallet with some you know, cloth over it. But obviously they're not going to do that. So when they replaced my oil cooler line and they try to put this back in there, literally this whole area was a huge gap between the front splitter and the front bumper. And some customers are actually getting their cars brand new from dealership with that gap, because you know, Ford doesn't have this pre-installed. The dealership has to install them before they sell it, and these guys aren't watching the video that Ford sent out, which you can easily find on YouTube even, which is what I did. But again, and if, let's say if there is the gap, and if you're going high speed enough, this entire assembly will rip off, and when it does, people have been getting damages obviously all along their front bumper, which some of the dealerships have been denying warranty claims, and it's ridiculous. So again, I had them try to fix it first time when they brought it out. I told them, they took it back to the you know, their workshop, came out in another 20 minutes later, looked pretty much exactly the same. So yep, I said screw it. I told him that's fine, took it home and read up on YouTube myself. 20-minute video, took me about 45 minutes to reinstall, no problems. Yep, but that's life. That's why, again, I hate taking these cars to any dealerships. They literally don't care too much, especially, you know, it's not their car. They don't get paid extra for working on these specialized vehicles. It's not like they have certain technicians that are trained to work on these specialty cars. I mean, they're supposed to, but I don't think they set aside small elite crew to work on more expensive cars. It just doesn't work out that way. And again, all these electric harnesses were popped off. They never bothered to put them back in, so I had to literally clip in all to their original positions. Just stuff like that. I mean, if you really don't know or don't care about maintenance and doing things yourself, you wouldn't even know that it's hanging loose, and you know, it's even the front splitter. I mean, for me, I've had a lot of trouble with my cars before with the dealership screwing it over, so I always double triple check. So but yeah, that was it. At least the thermostat, you know, that didn't cause too much problems afterwards when they replaced it. But even then, sometimes when I run this car real hot for, you know, 30-40 minutes at a time, let's say a canyon run or whatnot, for some reason when you turn the car back on, your coolant temperature will shoot up all the way to the red zone, and the car will almost have a little hiccup for a couple seconds, and then it will start, and then the temperature gauge will kind of run back down to where it needs to be. I'm guessing that's still the thermostat that's supposed to rotate when you turn it on. It's made out of cheap plastic, I heard, and it's a known problem in not just this car but some of the other Ford vehicles. So, well, that's another hiccup. And pretty much I haven't done too much to this car. There's only a couple things. I replaced the filter with a Ford performance filter just because my original one was getting real dirty. It's not going to do much as far as horsepower increase or anything like that, but it just needed to replace. And this is something you can wash over and over, so it's like a AEM dry flow filter. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And first thing I did when I bought this car was install these air oil separators, and especially again, I'm gonna actually let you guys know which side you really need. It's not the driver side. What you need is the passenger side air separator. I know in certain other vehicles it used to be the driver side, but this car is the passenger side that collects a lot of oil. After 2,000–3,000 miles, there's usually pretty good enough oil building up in their side to take it out and use a big syringe to throw it out. But yeah, driver side's been nice and dry the whole time, so probably didn't even need it, but I didn't know, so I bought both. Yep, if you're gonna get it, just get the passenger side and you'll be fine. But let's see here. Other than that, I think we are good with the under the hood stuff. We can close this back down. Man, there are bugs everywhere. I hate this time of season in SoCal. All these gnats. Alright, let's talk about the interior here just for a little bit. Okay, it's hot as hell today. It's about 98 degrees with quite humid. It rained a couple days ago. Well, first thing right away, if you look, this car is very optimistic about temperature outside. It's not 81 degrees outside. I don't know why it does that, but half the time it's reading wrong temperature. I have no idea why it does that. It's just another stupid little thing. But aside from that, I mean, this is a track pack, so you get, you know, you don't get that whole fancy big screen or anything like that, and which I'm completely fine with. I don't have any problems with minimalistic interior design. I was happy with my Lancer Evolution when I had it. I mean, that car was, I don't know if you guys seen it, but it's literally $15,000 car interior, you know, for me, if these buttons work all the time without lagging, I'm happy. That's not a problem, as long as there's direct usable buttons that I don't have to fish around for just normal daily things like, you know, the Bluetooth changing to radio, you know, phone and AC, temperature control. That's all I care about. Probably the only thing on the track pack that they should have done was instead of well, they could probably added another button here, make this a little bit smaller, and just put a fourth one here for exhaust valve control, which they do for the tech pack cars with the little switches, but for some reason they decided it wasn't important for track pack. I don't know why they would try to make those type of differences. It's a pain in the ass every time to start up this car, and if you want to hear that sound, I have to literally go to sport mode. But if I do that, it would make my damper settings and steering settings sport as well. I don't want that, so now I have to press the damper settings, go back to normal. I have to click on my steering wheel settings, and I have to put it back to comfort. And yeah, couple button pushings, but gets old if you have to do that every single time when you get in the car. I wish they did something like a BMW does, just have a one button here that you can preset, press it, and it takes you to all the settings that you've already decided on. But you know, again, just another hassle. You know, that you have to go through. Something I do like are these two gauges. The gauges that matter the most, in my honest opinion: oil temperature and oil pressure. In any sport cars, in any cars that you're gonna track, I always constantly have my eyes on these two gauges. You know, you don't want oil temperature shooting up, you don't want your oil pressure shooting down. Those are two bad signs, and these are nice clear gauges that doesn't glare even on the sunlight. It's very easy to read. Maybe they could have you know, made this a little bit more towards the driver side, but again, I'm not complaining. And you can, as you can see, get all the data you need. This is what I have always on: the axle temp, cylinder head temp, trans oil temperature, and you know, and just no general red line zones that you don't want to be going up to. So just keep your eye on that once in a while. But otherwise, yep, nice little plaque here you get, GT350 chassis number. So I'm guessing my car's built 5,475th. Doesn't really matter too much, but again, makes you feel like you've bought something cool. Well, let's see. Oh, there's another thing I want to talk to you about that you probably haven't heard. If you look at the shifter here, and I changed the knob, this little thing is what you pull up to get into the reverse gear. But what happens when you get into the reverse is, after you come off the reverse, this little knob needs to fall down all the way down, so that way reverse gets locked out. But what happens is, sometimes I would put into a reverse like so. When I'm done reversing, I pull out, and this thing doesn't drop all the way down, so when I try to go back to first gear, it goes all the way into reverse again. And at first I didn't know why it would do that. Now I know all I gotta do is just push this down a little bit. I don't know if you guys saw that little play right there, but so that way it gets locked out, so I can get into the first gear. And it's not because I changed the knob, that's for sure, because I know there's enough space underneath this knob. It's literally not touching this part, so it's just this little mechanism is not lubricated well or whatnot. But again, something that, another quirk that you have to know. Let's see, other than that, the steering wheel is good. The Alcantara, actually, it's my first car with an Alcantara steering wheel. I wish I actually had a leather steering wheel instead. I'm gonna probably call me crazy, but actually on your bare hands, the Alcantara doesn't feel, it almost feels too smooth. It slips around a bit. Sure, if you have like a racing gloves or leather glove on, then I'm sure it will grip real well, but I mean, I don't really drive with racing gloves even at track. So I find myself, just to, you know, not make the Alcantara get dirty or anything, so I find myself gripping down here a lot of times when I'm driving around just casually. But now that I think about it, I wish we had, you know, two options, either Alcantara or leather. I would have gone with leather. Now that thing, I know Alcantara looks cool though. Not complaining, but just letting you guys know, if you never had Alcantara steering wheel, go and feel it with your hands, see if you like it. You know, you just, that's really not the best thing in the world. I know everybody loves Alcantara, but on the steering wheel, I think I could pass. But other than that, everything's adequate. Everything's adequate. Really nice. Again, the seats, the steering wheel telescopes well enough. I'm 6'1", no problems with sitting position, and steering wheel position is perfect. Yeah, probably another thing, and the room mirror here is very cheap. It gets all the vibration that generated from this engine. When you're driving on the freeway, sometimes you can't even really
tell what's going on behind, because all the minor vibrations make everything fuzzy. So that's another thing you have to deal with. If you probably keep looking at it, you'll get a headache. But the back seat, there's my helmet. I just keep it there always, just because, just never know when you need to go racing. As you can see, no leg room. Maybe in a pinch you can squeeze somebody back there, but maybe someday, if this becomes my total track car only, I might even just think about removing the back seat altogether, save some weight. Oh, the last thing are the rattles. These interior pieces, I've expected them to rattle quite heavily once the car's broken in, once I've taken it to the track, but believe it or not, it really doesn't. It's pretty quiet interior, other than hearing the obviously loud engine noise. But these panels are pretty solid in my opinion. It's, well, you never know, knock on the wood. It's only been about 12,000 miles, but so far everything's been pretty solid. No significant rattling and vibration and, you know, things that will drive you nuts. It's not been happening so far, so we'll see how that keeps up. But I think Ford put a lot of those dampening sponge things between these panels, which you can actually kind of see if you look carefully between some of the panel gaps. So that's probably doing their job. But yeah, that pretty much concludes just the exterior interior review. Again, leave me a comment if you guys want to know more about what you see. But that is about it, and I will continue doing a little bit of driving impressions and tell you guys a little bit more about the driving characteristics of this car on my way back home. Stay tuned.